Hello, and thank you for clicking on the video. I want to thank all of you guys for all the great comments that I've been receiving lately. It's truly phenomenal what is happening with my channel. I'm sharing information with a lot of you who always thought about getting into law enforcement careers or other careers, and the feedback has been incredible. I encourage you to subscribe and to share the channel with others who are going through trying to find out what type of career is going to work for them. Hopefully this gives them inspiration, motivation, and drive that they need to succeed. So today's video is on age requirements. I've been getting a few emails, and by the way, I want to shout out to Mark, who hunted me down at Costco the other day and said hello, and was very thankful for the videos. But anyway, today's video is on the age requirements for law enforcement positions. Some of you are wondering, am I too old and what is too young? I mean, I'm going to talk about that too. So first off, let me just tell you this. I was a previous field training officer for several agencies, and the oldest trainee I ever had was 52 years old. I mean, he was working for us as a reserve officer, and his company laid him off after 16 years working for them. And him and I were riding around one day, and he told me he was intending on going through the police academy. And actually, the police academy that he went through was San Joaquin Valley Delta College in Stockton. So he went through the academy at 52, was hired full-time at 53, and I believe that he worked until he was 62 or 63. I'm not really sure even if he's retired, but I do know that at the time that he went through the academy, he had been laid off by that company. Oh, my hair's bugging me here. So anyway, so let's talk about that. So now, having said that, some of you are like, wow, like 52 years old, that's when he started. And he's not the only one. I ran into another guy who used to be a garbage truck driver. He was driving a garbage truck, and he always wanted to be a police officer. And so he applied to this agency as a trainee. Anytime you see jobs that say trainee or academy entry level, that means that the agency will hire you and put you through. Anyway, he was a garbage truck driver in his mid-40s, and he applied to be a police officer, and they hired him, put him through the academy, and he was a great officer. Super, super awesome talking to us and citizens. He was a great co-worker. So anyway, those are some of the ages. And so let's talk about that for a second, a few minutes here. Local, which is police departments, county, which is sheriff's offices, do not have an age requirement for law enforcement. As long as you're able to pass the entry-level requirements, you pass a background investigation, pass your medical, then you're going to become a police officer or a deputy sheriff. California Highway Patrol does have a age requirement, and I believe that you have to be no older than 35 and a half at time of appointment, just under 36 to get hired by the California Highway Patrol. That's a state agency, and so their academy is in Sacramento. They only have one academy for the entire state, and it's very, very military and high discipline oriented. So make sure that's a good fit for you if those of you are deciding to become a California Highway Patrol. I gotta tell you, some of my students are working for the Highway Patrol, and they really love their jobs. It's exciting. They get very brand new and fast cars every year or every other year, and it's a phenomenal feeling. I loved working traffic enforcement when I was a police officer, and for some of you wondering, the fastest I ever drove in a police car. Anyway, send me some comments, and I'll disclose how fast that was. So anyway, so there's the California Highway Patrol. And then for some of you, you're going to get your 4-year degree, and you want to work for the FBI or the CIA or NSA. Those are federal agencies, and there is a requirement similar to the California Highway Patrol. You have to be under, I believe, 35 by the time you apply, and you have to be before you're 36 at time of appointment. Now, the FBI, I applied through them some years back and was, received a job offer. And so I know about the entire hiring process. You are required to have a 4-year degree. You're required to get hired by the age of 36, before 36, and they force you out at age 57. So they want to make sure you put in your 20 years in federal service, and then you're out. And a lot of the people who go to the FBI, when they're forced out at 57, they either go work for corporate security, making $200,000 a year, or they become a police chief at the many small police departments throughout the United States. So you will retire from the FBI at 100 and some thousand a year, and then you go get another job at 200,000 a year. So you do the math. It's a great employment opportunity. So don't let age be a determining factor, other than if it's a requirement. So if you think about becoming a police officer and now you're in the mid-40s, even early 50s, it's still possible for you to do that. Another question that I received, and I'm going to bundle this all together because it's been a while since I sent you a video, is, are you required to have a college degree to be a police officer or a deputy sheriff? And the answer is no. You are not required to have a college degree in order to apply for a law enforcement position. Some agencies recommend that you have at least 30 college units in criminal justice or administration of justice or a related field in legal studies before you apply to their agency. They just want to make sure that you understand what the job entails and what the requirements are going to be. So if you're sitting there and you're watching these videos and you're contemplating on getting hired in law enforcement, I've said this before in my previous videos, it's never been so good. This is a time for you to strike while the iron is hot. 39,800 and something, almost 40,000 positions open in law enforcement in California alone. I mean, that's 1 out of the 50 states. So if you're contemplating on getting into law enforcement, I am telling you, they're recruiting hot and heavy. And it's time for you to do this. I mentioned this before. Find a Barnes & Noble bookstore, find a local county library, go to somebody that you know in law enforcement and pick their brain, but don't let them talk you out of it. I mean, apply, go through the hiring process. I told you this before. Pick 10 agencies that you wouldn't mind working for. The more I know about law enforcement now, the more I'll tell you, go to larger agencies that are not as political as smaller departments. You may have to start at a small department like I did, but as soon as you get your experience, it's time to get out and go work for a larger agency. I said earlier, you don't need a college degree to get in. I will tell you though, after you do get in, I recommend you continue your education and eventually get a 4-year degree. You can do it online now. You don't have to do it in a physical, on-ground campus. And why? Because eventually you'll want to get promoted. Eventually you want to switch over to state, federal service. Department of Justice has a gazillion job openings all the time. And so that'll be an opportunity for you in the future. So just because you get hired without a college degree doesn't mean you stop. And that's pretty much it. So I want to cut this video short, and I wanted to address those issues. If you're sitting right now listening to this video, if you're working at a job you hate, if you've thought about getting into law enforcement, if you watch live TV or Cops or other shows and you wish that you could be that one person, it has to begin with you. So start that decision to go out there and research. Go on their website, post.ca.gov, and click on the hiring agencies to see in alphabetical order who is hiring. If you don't have a lot of money and you want them to pay for you to go through their academy, look for jobs that say trainee or entry level, pre-academy, and they will pay you while you go through the academy. One of the big benefits, I think, to do it that route is that your probation period starts when you start the police academy. So if you have a probation period of, say, 1 year, and then you go through their academy, which is 6 months, then you'll go on patrol for 4 months for your field training officer FTO program, and then by the time you're done with FTO, you're off probation. If you only have a year probation, some departments are still in 18 months like I used to be, and so keep that in mind. The other thing, I think that if you are able to pay to put yourself through as an independent, which I did, I recommend you do that. I think it's going to be more beneficial because they're not going to be checking on your grades to make sure that you're scoring at the top of the class, and you're not going to have that additional pressure. So if you can afford to put yourself through, Delta College in Stockton, California has both the basic academy, 6 months, and the extended academy. I believe it's 10 months now, where you go part-time with other people who have full-time jobs. It's truly possible for you to do this, but you just have to get committed and do it. When I ran into Mark the other day at Costco, he's one of a very handful of people that have flagged me down when I've been just wandering out and about, and I could sense that he has always wanted to do it, and there's things that he's trying to overcome as I did. I mentioned this in my previous videos. English was my fourth language. So before speaking English, I learned 3 other languages. So did I have to overcome some obstacles? Yes. I had to start at English 49. I had to learn all the basic English, and even now there's a little bit of an accent that comes out that I'm sure you guys hear on these videos. I mentioned also about my physical restrictions. I'm not a very tall guy. I'm not a very strong guy, but I got to tell you, when I was working patrol, I was one of the top officers in all departments that I ever worked for. I was very gung-ho. I was very aggressive in terms of going out there and catching bad guys. I followed policy 100% of the time. And once I bit my teeth into hunting down a suspect, there was nothing that would stop me. I always knew what my limitations were, and even though I wasn't very strong, I'd always call for backup. And so there's nothing wrong with waiting for backup. And so if you're going to arrest someone, they want to fight with you, if you can pause it and tell them to stand down, call for backup. That's not always going to happen, but for a large agency, you get on the radio, and within 2 minutes, you have 7 to 10 units around you. And a lot of those bigger officers love taking people down. And so it was fine for me. So again, another piece of information that you probably didn't know, you don't have to be going to the gym and lifting 300 pounds. I'm a former soccer player, so I just made use of a smart brain in that when I encountered a violent suspect, that I could definitely keep talking to him and delay him a little bit until the big guys got there. That's what I did. So you don't have to do it by yourself. If that's something that's concerning you, your size, your limitations, maybe you have some speech. Also, report writing is a big deal. You can take report writing classes at your local community college. You can go online and find videos about report writing. You'll find that a lot of report writing is repetitive. Once you write one burglary report, you've written all the burglary reports. Just change the address, dates and times, points of entry, suspect information, and the property taken. But same thing with a basic traffic accident. Once you handle a basic traffic accident, pretty much all the other accidents are similar to that fender bender, with changes in location, etc. All right, I've spoke long enough. Continue sending those comments. Please subscribe if you haven't. Send me likes, send me questions, comments, and just reach out if I can motivate you. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, I've taken a break from Instagram. I'm currently taking some coursework in cybersecurity policy, and I need to really focus on those class assignments. It's part of my sabbatical leave. And so I haven't been posting on Instagram as often as I'd like. So if you need to reach out to me, definitely post your questions to the YouTube channel, and they come directly to my email. And I do check that on a daily basis. So thank you for listening. Take good care of yourself, and I want to see you succeed. So make the decision. Once you make the decision to get into law enforcement, it starts with you. And then once you get that going, then make the step. And I'll be here to help you along the way as much as I can. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourself.